Hi guys, it's Luann again, and I'm here with another tutorial, guys. Another tutorial. I saw a video on a configuration box that someone made. I saw it this morning, and it was super cute, like super cute. And I thought I really need to make something like that. I don't have a configuration box, and I am not going to go out and buy one because I know this is going to be something that I will probably use or display for a little bit, and then it'll be put away. So I didn't want to spend the money on actually buying a configuration box, so I figured I would just make one. And I'm trying to quickly pull up the name of the person that I saw, and I ended up getting to her link by watching a video that somebody had liked, and it was on a Witches mini album. And then in that Witches mini album, she went on saying that she was going to do a tutorial on how she made the wand that was included in the Witches mini album. So then I watched that tutorial, and of course I subscribed to her channel because she's amazing. And then I was just browsing through her channel, and I saw her little configuration box. It was it was smaller than this, but I thought it was really cute. And the name, and I'm probably gonna say it wrong, it's CreaBoetiek. It's spelled CreaBoetiek, and her work is absolutely amazing. And the video that I saw that inspired me to do this was the wintertime mini configuration box. So this is actually not completely put together yet. It was really simple to make, like really simple. And I actually quickly went on YouTube to see if I can get any ideas on how to put something like this together, and I couldn't find anything. And on my search bar, I entered how to make a configuration box, and then I entered how to make a shadow box, and I couldn't pull anything up that was with paper. For the shadow box, everything was with the picture frame. So this is actually not put together. I have paper clips kind of holding it together. So these are my boxes right there. There's 4 boxes. And this is going to be my back panel, and I paper clipped my sides. So I'm going to glue them all together, but I paper clipped them to make sure that I did have the right measurements. I mentioned in one of my other videos that when you're working with chipboard, you can't say that this is 5 inches wide and then cut it at 5 inches, because if you do, it might be a little shorter because the chipboard is thicker. So I'm going to go over everything that I did. So I determined the size of each of my boxes, and I wanted the side to be 1 inch high. This side, I wanted them all to be 1 inch high. Well, obviously they all needed to be the same height. So once I figured out what size I wanted my box to be, I added 2 inches to the height and the length. So basically what I did, and this is just a scrap piece of chipboard, and this measures 6 by 5.5. So let's say I wanted my box to be 4 inches by, let's see, 3.5. So my paper would be 6 by 5.5, and then from there I scored. I don't score from this side in 1 inch because I don't know, I don't have a good handle on that. My paper moves all the time. So I always score from this side. So my paper is 6 inches wide, so I go in 1 inch, score, and I rotate, and then from 5.5 I go to 4.5, score 1 inch inside, and then here's my 6 inch side again. So I go in 1 inch, score at 5. And then here's 5.5, go in 1 inch, score at 4.5. And I learned to fold in towards the mountain and not the valley from someone. Actually, a couple people mentioned it in the tutorial, and I thought I didn't know that, so just fold it in. On your score lines. And so this right here, or you can't see it because I haven't cut the sides, but you'll see the box in a minute. And once you score your lines and you fold them, I'm going to show you, I don't know if it was 2 or 3 different ways that I try to figure out how to just leave the hinges and glue it to the next panel. Apparently I can't cut very evenly. My 5 inches is a little short or a little long. This one was supposed to be 3 by 3, and you can probably tell, yeah, right there. I don't know, you might not be able to tell. My hinge on the inside is popping out a little bit, and I was doing that on some of the other boxes, and I just decided that I don't know how to measure. So, my hinges, what you're going to do is you're going to cut from the score line, the 1-inch score line here, to the score here where they crisscross, and then you're going to go to this point here and you're going to cut it at an angle to this point here where they crisscross. And if it's a little crooked, it's okay, no one's going to see that. Okay, so it's going to look like that. And then what I did is I turn it, and then I'll do the same cut. I'll cut here, cut here, and then the other type of hinge that I did is instead of cutting it at this corner here, I have my cut here. Here, let me fold this panel in. Instead of cutting at this corner, I cut from this corner to the top score line here, right here. So what I did is I went this way and I cut like that. So at least this way, when I would bind the hinge to my other panel, you won't see my measurements. They're completely off. Can you tell? Can you tell right there, that little smidge right there? It's off. I swear I'm pretty sure, I think I'm measuring properly. Okay, so that was the second type of hinge that I had cut. And then for the third, same thing. You cut on your score line. You fold that in so you can see. And basically what I did is I cut from this corner out, and then from this corner, from the inside corner out. So I just kind of created a little V, kind of from the center, like that. Let me put this down. So it's like that. So those are the 3 different hinges that I cut to stop my ill-cut hinges from popping out, my 1-inch tabs or my 1-inch sides. So I'm just going to do it like that. And then how I bound it is I put glue on these panels, or on these little tabs, and I just glued them on the inside. Now this is pretty thin chipboard, so just make sure you line them up straight so that your box will be straight and not buckled in or out too far. But this is pretty thin chipboard, so I was okay with just attaching the hinge to the inside, or the side tab to the inside of the panel. But another alternative is you can create actual hinges that are 1 inch by, I don't know, 1 inch, and then fold in half, and just have them connect on either side, the inside of these 2 panels. And basically it would be something like, hold on, I gotta get a scrap. Okay. Let's say this is, or I have my cutter right here. I suppose I could have cut it down to 1 inch. Let's say this is your hinge, and basically you would have no tab here. Actually, let me do this one since it's flat. Have no tab there, So you would connect your hinge. You connect your hinge to the inside, bring it up, and then open it up and connect to the other side. I suppose I could have done that, but I didn't want to go through the trouble of cutting extra pieces of hinges and then putting them on there, because sometimes I can't measure straight, and I certainly can't cut straight, so I didn't want my sides, if one side's going to be crooked, fine, but if both of my sides are going to be cut crooked, I'm not going to be okay with that. So once you glue all of your hinges on the inside, or your tabs on the inside, you have a box. So once you have all of the boxes that you want for your configuration box, now this isn't a full-blown actual configuration box. I know the ones that I've seen, like the Tim Holtz, for example, they have shelving for each. They have each box has its own little cubby hole, so that you can take out individual boxes, and all of the others are still where they need to be. They won't fall in on themselves. So for this one, if I were to, actually I can remove any of them and they would stay put, unless I had it this way. If I remove this one would fall down. But you can play with the sizes so that if you do remove one, the other ones stay in place. For example, this configuration that I have here, if I do remove this box, this one won't fall in. Or if I remove this one, these stay put, or if I take this one out, they stay put. So it just depends on how you configure your box. Okay, so once you have your boxes all put together, what I did to measure my back panel was I grabbed this box here, and I just aligned it. I just placed it on my chipboard, laid it flush on the corner, and with a pen I marked the side. I couldn't really measure properly because this was a smidge larger than 5 inches because of the sides, and I didn't want to cut it at 5 inches. So it's a tiny bit wider than 5 inches, but not too much. So once I marked this side, I added because it's going this way. Actually, no, I'm lying. It's going this way. Because it's going this way, I added the top box to my chipboard, and then I drew a line here. So once my 2 lines were drawn, I cut my chipboard down on this side first, because I started working with an 8.5 by 11. So I cut my paper this side first, so that my excess would be the same size as my height here, or my length here. So once this was cut, I turned it over, I cut this way. So this is my back panel, and then for the hinges, for these, they are 1.5 inches. So the excess on this part, the leftover that I had, because I cut it all the way through on the bottom, I just cut them at 1.5 inches so that they would be the exact same size. So these are the exact same size, like that. And then 1.5 inches, scored 1/2 inch. And after I scored 1/2 inch, I folded it and I cut the corners. I mitered the corners here. Now for the top one was a little bit trickier. Again, because of the thickness of the chipboard, and that'll vary with the chipboard or cardboard that you use, because you can use chipboard, you can use cereal boxes, whatever you have on hand. So this is the top of my, what could be the side, but this is the side panel that I needed to measure differently. I basically laid this down on, I'm just going to use the scrap piece of paper, on my chipboard, like that, and I had excess. I ignored the excess, just left it alone. So what I did was, instead of trimming down the excess here, I just cut them at 1.5 inches, because that's the length that I need them to be. And this is how it worked for me. Your boxes might be exactly 5 inches, so it'll work perfect with you. So my chipboard, and because I have these side panels, let's just pretend this is chipboard. I have these side panels, and they're going to add length to my panel if I cut it exactly this size. And because I want my tabs to go in or underneath these panels like so, I needed this piece to be just slightly smaller. So when I scored it, I just put my box down, kind of eyeballed the side tabs to make sure I had pretty even amount, and then I scored on one side. Okay, so I scored on one side, and again, let's pretend this is chipboard. Oh, okay, and then I aligned this piece. Sorry, my head's in the way. I aligned this piece to my chipboard here, and I went in slightly, just slightly, enough so that the tab was on the inside of the panel here. Sorry. Aligned perfectly to the panel here. And then I went to the other side, and I moved it over. I moved this piece over just a smidge, and then I scored it like that. I hope that's not complicated, but that's what I needed to do to make it work so that this piece isn't too wide and it makes my sides buckle too much because there's too much chipboard on the top and not the sides. I hope that makes sense. So now we have this piece, top piece, the bottom piece, and we have our boxes here, and we have the back panel. We're going to attach these pieces together first. So you want to make sure that all of these tabs, these half-inch tabs, are pointing in the same direction. So you're going to glue your tab down, and make sure when you glue your tab down, your score line matches, not this side, your score line, because if your score lines are off, then your back is going to be off balance, or it's going to be a little warped. Oh my god, and I hope I'm making sense. Okay, so what I forgot to mention is that when I scored all of my sides on this particular panel, I cut it an angle here and here, and on this side of course, but then I also cut it on a little bit of an angle here, so that if this piece was too long, it wouldn't pop out. It wouldn't pop out on the outside of the cover. So again, align your score lines. So this one seems to be cut pretty close to what it should be. Okay, so this is the top and the side. So I'm going to glue the bottom. And again, make sure that your half-inch tabs are all in the same direction. And I'm using the fast grab tacky glue. Again, match up your score lines. And I haven't done this before, guys. This is the first time that I make this. So trial and error, trial and error. Oh, my back's killing me. Alrighty. So I need to attach this last piece here, and then I will close it up. I have been on a tutorial craze. I did one yesterday on the glitter, my glitter storage, glitter glue storage, and I ended up doing what I had mentioned towards the end, is just wrapping the whole thing with packaging tape. And then I punched 2 holes on the top, ran a ribbon through it, and it's now hanging on my wall. It actually tipped over once today after I fussed with it. And these tables that I have in my guest room, well, my craft room now, they're the 6-foot plastic tables, you know, those party tables that you can fold. So it's not very flat. Okay, make sure that you're aligning the score lines. And I actually did a pretty good job with cutting them at 1.5 inch for this one. Seriously, I don't know what I did wrong with the boxes. Maybe it was the scoring on both sides. Okay, so this is my frame. But anyway, these tables, the edges, they kind of bow in, or bow? Is it bow or bow? I don't know. They kind of curve inward or downward. So the box was kind of, it wasn't flush, it wasn't perfectly flat. It was kind of tipping forward because I had it up against the edge. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to fold these tabs in. I'm going to do these on the inside, the smaller ones on the inside first. Make sure you fold them in, reinforce the score line. Okay, and then the side ones are going to be on the bottom. So this is what it's going to look like. These smaller ones are going to go on the inside and the long ones on the outside. So, oh my gosh, my back. I'm going to grab my glue and I'm going to put that on my panels. And my 1/2 inch panels. Sorry if my big head gets in the way again. I'm blind as a bat, so sometimes I need to get really close to see. Seriously, I'm kind of blind. Not legally, but I know one day it'll be there. Alright, so you're going to get your back piece, and you're going to slide that in. Ah! Oh my god, it fits! Yay! And press down sides where you put the glue. I cannot believe this actually worked. Haha. Yeah, I'm one of those people that kind of doubt myself in the middle of everything, of whatever work I'm doing. And I never think it's good enough, and I'm sure there's some people like that. I don't think everyone is like that, but you know, it's one of those things where, you know, there are a lot of people out there who I know do just so, like, much better work than I do. And when I do things like this that I don't think it's going to work, and then it works, I get really excited. Okay. Wait. Is that how it goes? No. Wait. No. It goes this way. Yeah, don't forget how your boxes go. Yeah, it goes this way. So, my back piece is done. Now, once you decorate your boxes, you can actually glue these to the back, or you can just leave them alone. I'm going to put my boxes in. And I already know this is going to be a little bit snug, but that's okay. Put this one in first. This is the one I had a hard time with earlier. Oh my gosh. I totally did it. Sorry, I get really excited when I do things like this. Okay, so this is my configuration box. I did it all by myself. And I actually did not find any tutorials on these, so I actually had to come up with a way to do this on my own. So this is the back. The back I will cover maybe with white or some sort of solid paper. I'm not going to put pattern paper on here because it'll probably be up against my wall. And I already know this is going to be up against my wall. I am going to show you guys what I do with this, but this is going to be, I don't know if I'm going to have it this way or this way. I don't know which way I'm going to have it yet, but this is going to go on my desk at work. I am going to put pictures of my kids and my husband and myself, and something that will remind me of happy things. Because, you know, we all need happiness at work when it's particularly stressful. So this is going to be my happy space on my desk. So I am probably going to finish this or start decorating it probably within the next few days. I have other projects to work on that I actually stopped to do this because I just needed to do this right now. If I do hang it up, if I do end up bringing it back home and hanging it up, I will probably just punch a hole on whatever sides and just run a ribbon through it and hang it on the wall. This is not ideal if you are going to put anything heavy on it because it's chipboard. If you put something heavy on it, it's going to weigh the bottoms down, and you don't want to do that. You can put little tiny, you know, clay figurines or small little, I mean, if it's not heavy, it's fine, you know, charms and things like that, but you can't, you know, I wouldn't put another smaller picture frame in here probably, well, unless you use thicker chipboard, or I don't know, a box from a diaper box or something. So this is my tutorial on my version of a configuration box, and you can create any size boxes on it. You just have to make sure that it's not larger than the chipboard for the back panel, because you don't want to piece that backside together, because that gives it the stability. So thank you guys for watching, and hasta luego.